guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my December TBR. So I'm going to be talking to you about all of the books that I want to read in December, and that's going to include arcs that I want to read, as well as the fact that I'm going to be participating in 2 readathons during the month of December. So the first is the holiday book bingo that's being hosted by Sarah over at Steeped in Books. I will leave a link to her announcement video down below, and I will be putting a picture of the bingo board up here for you to look at when we get to that section of the video. I'm also going to be participating in the winter edition of the book buddy-a-thon, and again it's a bingo board, so when we get to that bit of the video I'll put that bingo board up on the screen, and that's being hosted by Eleanor over at Eleanor Reads Books, and again I will leave a link to her announcement video down below. So I'm going to be going through each section, starting with the arcs that I received that I want to read during the month of December. So the first one of those I have a physical copy of, and it is The Move by Felicity Everett. This is the advanced readers copy edition, so you can see the title and stuff on there. So I will put a picture on the screen of what the finished edition is going to be like. This is coming out on the 26th of December, I believe. Does it say that? Because it just says that on the back. I've written the 26th of December down, so I've got that from somewhere. So hopefully that is correct. This, I believe, is sort of like a domestic thriller. And I was kindly given it when I went to a HQ blogger event earlier on this year, I think it was sort of around June time. So this has been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. It's finally going to be released. And I'm looking forward to reading this. This will be the first Felicity Everett book that I have read. Next up for arcs, I'm going to be reading Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This is out on the 10th of December and it's being published by Montlake Romance. I haven't read a Colleen Hoover book before, so I was really chuffed when I was sent a copy of it. This is, I believe, about a mother and a daughter, and about romantic relationships that they each have, and that's about all I know about it. It's got a really pretty cover, yeah, and I'm looking forward to reading that. Then HarperCollins sent me a digital arc of The Tiger Catcher by Paulina Simons. This was out on the 30th of May this year, and it's book number 1 in a trilogy that she is writing. So this looks like it's historical fiction, and it's a love story basically between Julian and Josephine, and it's set in Los Angeles, and the two meet and they have this sort of whirlwind affair, and then it turns out that Josephine has some secrets that are sort of going to tear them apart, sort of thing. You know, and Julian meets some sort of stranger that tells him what he can do to sort of get Josephine back, and then it starts this big journey. And I think this is the first book in a trilogy, and I think the trilogy is going to kind of follow the journey. I'm not the biggest fan of love stories that kind of span over more than one book, but this isn't strictly romance. I think it's more shelved as historical fiction on Goodreads, so we'll see what I think about it. Paulina Simons tends to be a writer that's very polarising. Some people have said that her fiction can be a little bit problematic, and some people really love her. I've never read her before, so I'll have to see what I think. But yeah, I am planning on reading that in December. Then I was sent an email from Mills & Boon. I'm a Mills & Boon insider, just in case any of you aren't aware. So I sent an email saying that 3 of their titles have been turned into Christmas movies, and they are airing on Channel 5 in the UK over the next few weeks, sort of thing. So if I wanted to read a copy of them and then sort of like watch the movie afterwards, then they were sort of offering that. So the 3 titles were A Family for Christmas by Irene Brand, I think it is, and Dana Corbett, which is a bind up of 2 books. and the book that has been turned into a movie is I think it's called Christmas in a Manger, because I think that they've not titled the movie Baby in a Manger. That's already aired on Channel 5. I'm hoping that I can go back and watch it on catch up, but it aired on the 15th of November, so I've got a copy of that to read. Then I've got a copy of A Fortunes of Texas Christmas by Helen Lacey. This is the first book in the Fortunes of Texas series. This is a series that I've been wanting to read for a while. This has been turned into a film called Christmas in Paris, and it's airing on Channel 5 on the 26th of November, so I'm going to be reading that. And then the last one is called St Piran's Prince on the Children's Ward by Sarah Morgan. Brilliant. This is being turned into a movie called Christmas with a Prince, and this is out. This is being aired on the 5th of December on Channel 5. So I'd really like to read all three of those books and then watch the movies afterwards. Like I said, I'm hoping I can watch the Baby in a Manger one on catch up. I'm going to go and see if I can do that in a second. But yeah, those are all of the arcs that I've got down to read in December. Then I wanted to basically do a bit of a catch up on some series that I have been reading. So I sort of was in the mood to sort of carry on in series. So I've got a few books here that I've put on my TBR that I'm hoping to get to. So the first of which is The Storm Sister by Lucinda Riley. This is the second book in the Seven Sisters series, and I believe book 5 has just come out. And this is a series that follows 7 sisters whose father passed away, and he left them various different things in his will, and they're all adopted. So I think the things that he's leaving them in his will is sort of like to send them on a journey to find where they came from and things like that. I really enjoyed the first book, The Seven Sisters, and actually I've been lending these to my sister-in-law and she's been absolutely loving them, so it's got me sort of back into wanting to read the second book. They're really, really long, so this book is, let's just see, not including the author's note and stuff, it's 687 pages, but they're the sort of thing that it's really easy reading, so I'll be able to get through this relatively quickly. And obviously I've got some time off over Christmas, so you know, it's the perfect time to read something a little bit chunkier. Another book that I want to catch up on in terms of the series is The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. If you guys are in the UK, then you'll probably have seen that the BBC has made Northern Lights into a series and it's been airing every week, and I think we've seen the first 3 episodes so far, and the 4th one is coming out tomorrow. So Stefan and I have been watching it, and it's an absolutely fantastic adaptation. I believe Philip Pullman is the producer, and he was on the writing team as well. And I don't know whether any of you have seen the film The Golden Compass, but that is just pants. You know, it goes away from the story so much, and the acting in it is just not up to par at all. So I'm so glad that we're getting a much better version of it. So if you haven't watched any of that and you're in the UK, then I would definitely recommend it if you've read Northern Lights. But it kind of made me want to continue on in the series, so I'm going to pick up The Subtle Knife. When I picked this up off the shelf earlier, I was really surprised by how small it was. So this is just over 300 pages. So again, I'm looking forward to continuing on in the story finally. And then the last book to sort of catch up in some series is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. This is the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. The 7th book is called Kingdom of Ash, I think, and I have that on my shelf downstairs. So this is a series that's now finished, but I haven't had an opportunity to catch up on. I've been inspired to pick this up for a couple of reasons. Number one, I read the novella in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it reminded me of why I really like Sarah J Maas's writing. And also Karen from Rather Be Reading has been reading the Throne of Glass series and loving it, so it's just given me sort of like the vibes of picking this back up again. So I'm obviously not going to talk about what this book is potentially going to be about, but the first book, this is a sort of YA or NA, I should say, fantasy series that follows Selena Sardothian in the first book. She's sort of like a prisoner of the state, and then to sort of cleanse her of her crimes, she is offered the chance to be the king's, I can't remember what it's called now, but sort of work for the king, be part of his sort of like bodyguard team, that sort of idea. And the series focuses around her basically, and it's been really good so far. The books get bigger and bigger, so this one is no exception. This is 660 pages, so again a chunky book to get my teeth into over the Christmas holidays. Okay, and then I'm going to be going through what I'm going to be reading for the 2 readathons that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to put the bingo card for the holiday book bingo up on the screen. There are 9 different squares for the holiday book bingo. I've picked out a book for each, some of which cross over into the books that I've already talked about. And then I've got a few other things on there as well. So the first book on the card is to read a book with predominantly red or green on the cover, and I'm going to be reading Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I've already discussed that one. Next up is a traditional holiday book, and I was sort of trying to work out what sort of things I traditionally read at Christmas, and I went with a Sarah Morgan book basically. So I'm going to be reading A Wedding in December. I read her other Christmas book last year, The Christmas Sisters, and really enjoyed it. So I've started a tradition, and obviously reading Sarah Morgan books is one of my favourite things to do. So this is about an older couple who they've split up, but they haven't told their daughters, and one of their daughters rings to tell them that she's getting married, and she wants, over Christmas, and she wants them to come and sort of obviously be with her while she gets married in America. And because they haven't told their daughters, they pretend that they're still married, still together, and it's about that basically. So yeah, this is a finished copy of it. I also have an arc of it on my shelf as well that I really should have read by now, but hoping to read it in December. Okay, then next up is a book with lights on the cover, and I'm going to be reading A Family for Christmas by Dana Corbett and Irene Brown. So that's a book that I mentioned earlier. Then we've got a book with an animal on the cover, and although this isn't particularly Christmassy, I'm going to go with The Subtle Knife. It's red, you know, the series is on TV on the run up to Christmas, you know, whatever. Next up is to read a holiday anthology, and I'm going to be reading A Wrong Bed Christmas by Kimberly Van Meter and Liz Talley. This is a Mills and Blaze anthology, so obviously you've got the 2 stories in it. Really looking forward to reading that. Next up is a book that's part of a series. I'm going to be reading Her Naughty Holiday by Tiffany Rice. This is book number 2 in the Men at Work series. I read book number 1 just before Halloween last month, and I really enjoyed it, so I want to carry on in this series. Next up we've got a book with Santa on the cover, and I'm going to be reading Dear Santa by Karen Templeton. Now Santa isn't on the cover. Sarah said that you could have books with Santa hats and things like that, so I'm going to go with that one. And then we've got a book about a holiday that's different from your own, and I'm going to be reading Lighting the Flames by Sarah Wendell, and this is a Hanukkah story basically. Sarah read this last year and she really liked it, and I've had it on my Kindle ever since, so finally getting around to reading that. And then finally a book with snow on the cover, and I've got another Sarah Morgan book here. I'm going to be reading Once Upon a Christmas by her. This is a lovely cover with lots of snow and lots of sparkly bits on it. Yeah. And this is about a woman who has a daughter who's put having a dad on her Christmas wish list. Oh, that's really cute. Yeah, so that leaves Bryony with 1 month to find the perfect man. So this year she's wishing for a miracle. Oh, I love that. So yeah, it's a little bit shorter. I'm looking forward to reading that. And then my crossing over for my Book Buddyathon Winter Bingo. The first square on this card up here is a book with Christmas or winter in the title, and I'm going to be reading A Fortunes of Texas Christmas by Helen Lacey. So that's one of the arcs I mentioned earlier. A book with snow on the cover, Once Upon a Christmas by Sarah Morgan. A book I meant to read last Christmas, and I had to think about this, and I decided to go for Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas, because this I believe came out last year. I think it was last November, or was it the November before that? oh my god, it was in November before that, so I definitely meant to read this last year and just didn't get around to it, so I figured that would be perfect for that one. A book with red or green on the cover, Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, so similar to the other one that I mentioned. You have to do a body read. Now, this is the only one that I don't have an option for yet, so what I'm hoping to do is maybe buddy read something with Sarah for the holiday book bingo. I'm going to see what she's got on her TBR, or I'll get in contact with one of my other sort of booktube friends and see how that goes. Yeah, so I'm leaving my options open for this one. Then we've got a children's book, The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, so that fits that category. And then I'm using a book for two categories. One is a 2019 release and the other one is a gifted book, and I'm going to be reading A Wedding in December by Sarah Morgan. I do have an art copy of this, so technically it was gifted to me, and maybe this version I gifted to myself, but that works for that. And then the last category is a book with a family as the centre of the story, and I'm going to be reading A Family for Christmas by Dana Corbett and Irene Brand. Again, I mentioned that one earlier. Okay guys, so today are quite a few books that I've put on my December TBR, but obviously I've doubled and tripled up lots of books on there, so I'm hoping to get through quite a few books. Like I said, I'm off for the Christmas holidays for a couple of weeks, which I'm really looking forward to. We all know that Christmas is a really busy time, but I do think I will have at least a decent amount of time to myself over Christmas once all the festivities are out of the way. So I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Are you planning on participating in the holiday book bingo or the book buddy-a-thon winter bingo readathon? If you're participating, let me know what your TBRs are. If you've got a TBR that you filmed or that you put on your blog, link it down below. Otherwise, what are you planning on reading in December? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.